Yeah, I have another.
Go on,
I
give me
have
one
another
more.
take that it's not really related to the shuffle, but it's something I noticed, especially during ESL Pro League and some events after. It's just that Fnatic are just so bad right now, and the easiest fix for me is okay. I'll present some statistics to go with
Okay.
this.
Oh, I can already know where
So
this is
hold
going.
on.
Come
So
on, hit me.
hold on a little
Hit
bit.
me.
That mezii needs to be the in-game leader of this team again, and they need to just get a better rifler to replace Dexter. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll give you all the numbers here. That basically the storyline for bringing in Dexter was that mezii could focus on being a better player again. His rating is the exact same. His rating is the exact same before and after Dexter. He has not gotten any better in terms of output. If you really want to be a stickler for it, he's got a 1.08 rating before and after during the exact same these time periods. Technically, if you look at land top 30, he's better by 0.03. So it's so marginal in terms of difference that he's better now with Dexter calling versus when he was calling. And the thing is, the win rate has dropped off a cliff for Fnatic. When mezii was calling, they were winning over 58% of their maps with Nikodas and Fasher, by the way. And now they have Afro, who everybody's saying is better than Nikodas. But with Dexter calling, they're winning 45% of their games. They're winning over 10% worse win rate, and it's sub 50% now that Dexter's calling. Fnatic need to get rid of Dexter. This guy has not actually proven in any context that he is a capable in-game leader that can elevate his teammates to me. And if mezii calls again, he was so worried in those early interviews at Cologne. I was talking to him. I was like, well, so you think you're better now or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I do. But it's like, well, the numbers don't show any difference. So what's the point? If you're going to lose over 10% more of your games, your performance, you're not going to become a top 20 player all of a sudden, mezii. Like, that hasn't happened. Like, I think mezii's good. Mezii's definitely a good player, but he's also still a good player when he's in game leader. So just bring on another rifler, because if with Fasher and Nikodas, you were a better team than you were with Afro, what's the deal? Just bring and everybody probably thought, including myself, Fasher was probably the worst player on that Fnatic team. And yet they still were doing better. So clearly the calling was better with mezii. And also, if they just get a better fragger than Dexter, because Dexter has like a 0.88 rating in the past 3 months. Like he's bottom fragging every single game. He'll get the random pop-off game and everybody's like, Sexter. But it's like, well, this dude ain't fucking 99% of the time. In fact, he's probably an incel most of the time. So in game. Not calling out his real life. I don't know anything about his real life. But his performance has just been so bad that for me, just get any rifler in basically tier 1 or tier 2 CS that probably has a low buyout, and you're going to be cooking if you're Fnatic.
Okay, I understand that, but I wouldn't go back and place mezii as an IGL anymore. I don't think that's a thing anymore. And what is the sample size from him after when he became the IGL and then when Dexter took over? What is the difference in the time frame?
It was about a year. It was like 11 months that he was the caller, and for Dexter being the in-game leader, it's been about 3 months.
So it's not very reliable stats, right? If you wait for another 4 or 5 months,
time.
If you wait for another 4 months, it's just the number of events. Go through the number of events then. It's like 2 events with Dexter calling against what, 10 for mezii. I don't think the sample sizes are correct. That's the first thing. But I do agree that Dexter should not be in-game leading that team. I do agree that Roy doesn't have a place in that team. I do agree that Crims doesn't have that place in that team anymore, right? Yes, he is the Hall of Famer. Yes, he won all this shit, and he is a guy who is a legendary player. Nobody fucking disputes that. But the problem is that you need to look towards the future, not towards the past. And you maybe look at the past and see what type of creams are you looking for, and find it in the sea of this talent that we have for your next creams. Or you need to replace Roy with some new talent. Keep Afro, he's decent. I think he has something that other most of the other oppers don't have in this tier 2 scene, where they can go for the frags in high pressure situations instead of sitting back and waiting for things to happen. So that's a very rare quality for that players have, and Afro has that quality. I don't know about the other things, but and he's like in-game stuff, in communication and all this bullshit. But the 3 players they need to go and look for are 2 rifles and an IGL, right? And leave mezii where it is, right? It's not like he did something crazy successful as an IGL, right? Why would you put him in a position to risk his form dropping off? Because it is definitely a bigger risk and a bigger chance for his form to drop off as an IGL than as a rifler. and then there is no value for him being an IGL because they're not going to accomplish anything crazy with this lineup. So just risk against reward there is not good. I would change a couple of players. I would change Dexter and then rebuild something different, because Fnatic is a legendary org. Like, they cannot with a culture behind them, right? That would be like, let's say Chicago Bulls or Lakers, or even Boston, not having a team that's contesting the playoffs, or the conference finals or whatever it is. Just imagine, like, let's say Boston had like what, Tatum and Horford and all these players right now. They were in the finals, they were playing the conference finals. I feel like Fnatic is like Boston Celtics, right? They have the culture, the winning thing, right? And then they can attract players to come to their organization rather than fucking Clippers and Cavaliers and Orlando Magic, right? Who can they fucking attract unless they get lucky at the lottery, right? Nobody. And then you have Lakers, you have Celtics, and those are the Fanatics and the Navis and G2s and FaZe of Counter-Strike. So the culture is there, but it's not going to be there forever. If they continue down this path of fucking downfall, nobody's gonna want to join that organization, despite the fact that it's Fnatic. So they need to act on it quickly. I do agree they need to replace Dexter and a couple of more players, but not mezii on an IGL.
My problem with this one is I just don't give a fuck about Fnatic right now. Like, the problem is it's not even that it's a badly GM team, because technically, if you look at the switch they made from the Swedish lineup, they did get like a couple of versions of a lineup where it's like they were bizarrely, like, they made top 8 of the major and they'd have like playoff runs. And you'd be like, how's this? What? And then you'd go look at the players and they were all like 0.6 kills per. You're like, there's no star. You clearly don't have an IG. Like, how? So on some level, like, the flaw at GMing was quite good, actually. They picked like players from totally different sort, but it was a terrible team to be a Fnatic, like Hassan said. They never had a chance to have a top 20 player. They never had a chance to win a tournament. There's no perfect tournament ever could have happened where they would win. So I do think, essentially, like, you can cut almost anyone from this team. Like, you cut most of them. And I think Dexter just straight up sucks. I've said it for a while. Like, the joke is he should just be on Greyhound. That's it. Or you can go to tier 2, but like, you saw on Mouse, I thought he held the back the whole time. Now, look, luckily, because they had the academy squad, they would like, that was a test period anyway. No one knew if those players were going to make it themselves. Like, you wait and see. So I think he got to like slide through that period of time. And it's like the JDCs of the world. But I just don't think it was. I would kick Dexter tomorrow. I would, look, unless he doesn't have to be IGL, I could bring in someone else. I think he's fine as he is. I just, the problem with Fnatic is he's got to rehaul the whole squad. It's a waste of fucking time, the whole thing.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.